Begin. Slow drive with remedy. There are timeless lines, and then there are lines for our time. And with that weird platitude I just came up with out of the way, let's move on to the singular ability of a poet to capture a specific time and yet somehow position it as something that is unlikely to sound or feel stale. Historical, yes. Dated, no. My name is Remedy, and I've had a 30-year love affair with the poetry of Elvis Costello. The doleful words that are often set to an upbeat tempo and vice versa beguiles and baffles. The sheer range of highs and lows in both tone and topic continues to dazzle. There are hidden gems lying in each song, just waiting to be discovered. A sound, a pitch, a scratch, a click, a heartbeat. There's something for everyone. But, as you know, it's always been about the words for me. This podcast is an appreciation of the poetry of the modern-day master, Elvis Costello. And I think you're really going to like what I have for you today. I'd say timely and historical, but you be the judge. Today's slow drag is with 20% Amnesia from Brutal Youth, released in 1994. The songwriting is credited to Elvis Costello's birth name. I might have read or heard in passing that the title 20% Amnesia referred to an election where, despite all the heated debates in the lead up to the election, many people just simply didn't bother to turn up to vote, 20% or so. Pinning down the exact event will be left to others who know much more than I do. I appreciate the words inside the worlds with which they live. In this case, it's a 3-minute and 24-second song about ambition and the lack thereof. It features a scolding refrain as a reminder and even an epilogue with a wise message. What I like about the poetry of 20% Amnesia is the familiarity and the distance it creates. It's political without being overtly so. It's universal in nature, yet decidedly British in its vernacular. In short, it's brilliant. But really, what else would you expect me to say? Five years before 20% Amnesia, there was Tramp the Dirt Down from the spectacular and informational album Spike, with lines such as, "When England was the whore of the world, Margaret was her madam," and "When they finally put you in the ground, they'll stand there laughing and tramp the dirt down." There is little room for interpretation past utter contempt for the then UK Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher. Tramp the Dirt Down is vitriolic and personal. I feel uncomfortable listening to it. It's like walking in on an argument and not knowing where to look. I probably won't be doing a slow drag with Tramp the Dirt Down anytime soon, but will hasten to add that after Thatcher's death in April of 2013, Elvis Costello dusted off the song a mere 3 months later at the Glastonbury Festival in July. His decision to revive the song, he is quoted as saying, was because the, quote, "same bunch of slimes" are governing Britain once again. David Cameron was the British Prime Minister in 2013, preceded by 2 Labour and 1 Conservative PMs after Thatcher's departure in 1990. And yes, an argument can be made that trotting out the song was, as Thatcher supporters put it, quote, "insensitive and in poor taste." But what it decidedly is not is apologetic or hypocritical. I do question the timing, but I admire the integrity. In the intervening 25 years, however, the curled lip, the barbed pronunciation, the genuine contempt seems to have tempered. The sentiment, nevertheless, continues to resonate. I highly recommend comparing the two live versions in order to see the difference. Take, for instance, Allison or the Nick Lowe penned Peace, Love, and Understanding. Then and Now, they remain constant in vigor and form when performed live. Tramp the Dirt Down does not. It seems we can only stay legitimately angry for just so long. General Bemusement, on the other hand, remains quizzical and in evergreen fashion. At least that's the sense I get from 20% Amnesia. If it were about one specific election once, it's since gone on to give way to a greater message. "What is your destiny?" the policewoman said. The word that she wanted was destination, I'm afraid. This is your future, boy. This is your fate. And you're obsolete, and they can't afford to educate you. Destiny and destination. See, words do matter. One's a preordination, and the other is a location. The vernacular, I'm afraid, as in the word that she wanted was destination, I'm afraid, sounds strange to my American ears, a reaction that comedian Rich Hall seems to share. Once, as a panelist on QI, in response to the question, "What does fear smell like?" Hall answered, "Crab salad." "Fear smells like crab salad," he explained, quote, "I went to this deli the other day and said, 'Can I have a crab salad sandwich?' And the woman behind the counter said, 'We're out of crab salad.' I'm afraid." Words matter, as does comedic timing, so I hope I've done that joke justice. In his bedtime, boot boy Jersey, ringing up some fantasy tart. Give me strength or give me mercy. Life intimidates art. It's so easy to be swept away in the clever twist of phrase. Life imitates, no, strike that. Life intimidates art. That we need to double back to the beginning of this verse. Boot boy has a few meanings, mostly negative, hooligan, skinhead, but when combined with the word jersey, as in his bedtime boot boy jersey, I'm inclined to favor the definition of a sort of servant or an eager young footballer who, quote, cleans the boots of the senior players on the team. His jersey can only make him look as if he's part of the team, yet he knows he can't compete in terms of skill. There's an expression using this term I quite like. The team needs a makeover from chairman to boot boys. A fantasy tart, on the other hand, needs much less explanation.
Following's for adults only.
Let's play. I'm all in love. Pick up the phone. Don't be lonely. Talk live to your special lady tonight. International long-distance rate supply as low as 50 cents a minute. Adults only. By L&B Media. Pick up the phone. Cat got your tongue?
Oh, good Lord, isn't it funny the things that men will fall for? Give me strength or give me mercy. Don't let me lose heart. From rage to anaesthesia. 20% amnesia. I won't go into the many acorns I've discovered in this piece, save for one, from rage to anaesthesia. I'd always heard it as from rich to rags is easier. True enough, but from rage to unconsciousness colors the verse a bit differently for me. These words are a gift that just keeps on giving. Were you passed out on the sofa while justice was bartered by a drunken oaf? This is all your glorious country thinks of your life. Stripped jack naked with a Stanley knife. 20% amnesia. Now, I can't tell you quite who the drunken oaf is, but I have learned a great deal about Strip Jack Naked. It's a children's game akin to war that has a mathematical intrigue to it. I found more information about it in an article from the American Mathematical Monthly. More commonly referred to as Beggar My Neighbor, it's also known as Knave Out of Doors, and my personal favorite, Beat Your Neighbor Out of Doors. The game is even referenced in Dickens' 1860 Great Expectations. Quote, "What do you play, boy?" asked Estella of myself with the greatest disdain. "Nothing but beggar my neighbor, miss." "Beggar him," said Miss Havisham to Estella. So we sat down to cards. Precisely how Stripjack Naked is played with a Stanley knife is beyond me, which is exactly why this line remains neon-colored in my mind. So the German queen went home again, but she couldn't find forgiveness. They made a fist of the hand of friendship, but it's only business. With all the bloodlines and houses and abdications and one instance of Cromwell to remember, I always figured that's why Brits always seemed so much smarter than Americans. All we have to do is remember 40 or so dead presidents. The 100 years of the current British monarchy is, indeed, quote, partly German. Think back if you still can, when the trumpet sounded and the world began. Somebody said, we must have won, so they started burying the bogeyman. Mister Gorbachev came cap in hand, 20% amnesia. So here are two facts you probably already know. Mikhail Gorbachev was the last leader of the Soviet Union, and coming with your cap in hand means to do something in a humble manner. From a bankrupt land to a bankrupt land, Mr. Gorbachev and some other fella were taken to a show called Cinderella. And here are two facts I didn't know. So, in addition to the British slang used throughout, there is also a bit of an American hubris on my part. Turns out the UK was the other bankrupt land, and the other fella was Prime Minister John Major, and not the United States and Reagan, as I'd always assumed. As it was once reported in the Baltimore Sun, Gorbachev came to the UK to ask for money, but through a quirk of translation, ended up at the Rossini opera Cinderella with the Prime Minister before dinner. Words matter, context matters. This dense piece comes with what can be considered an epilogue. You don't have to listen to me. That's the triumph of free will. There are promises to break and dreams to kill. A constant reminder about how people forgot to vote, placing the nation in the state it seemed to be in, then turning it to the notion of free will can be considered sarcastic or earnest. It's difficult to tell. Promises to break, dreams to kill. 20% amnesia can be as political and or social and or abstract as you want it to be, although it might be difficult to shake the underlying weariness and just a hint of contempt throughout, albeit not to the depth of tramp the dirt down, as the master tells us. But it's a dangerous game that comedy plays. Sometimes it tells you the truth, sometimes it delays it. There's a fine line between tragedy and comedy, between progress and farce. Dig it. Again, this has been a slow drag through 20% Amnesia from 1994's Brutal Youth. This piece is jammed packed with imagery, opinion, culture, and history. With How to Be Dumb from Mighty Like a Rose a very close second, Tramp the Dirt Down is arguably one of the most overtly angry concoctions from Elvis Costello. 20% Amnesia, in contrast, feels somehow nostalgic. A rebuke sprinkled into a child's card game, strip Jack naked. And to the strange history of the current monarchy, the talk of fantasy tarts, the mention of Soviet Union 1.0, the British lingo, and of course the twisted and misunderstood words and idioms. Cinderella and the immortal life intimidates art. Destiny versus destination. It would be rather cliche to assume that 20% amnesia might serve as a reminder of how history is circular and apt to repeat itself, but it seems difficult to not see the parallels. As always, thank you so much for finding this appreciation of Elvis Costello's poetry and for listening all the way to the end. This truly is a passion project that I'm thrilled to share with you. I've really enjoyed it and hope you have too. Please check the show notes for links to the actual song, as well as links to references made in this episode. There is also a companion blog with other references for your convenience. If you like this, please subscribe and share. Get in contact with comments or suggestions or stories of your own. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you. So, until next time, adieu, my little ballyhoo. Slow drag.